And we're live.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Tim.
Right.
Hi, Christelle. Hi, Tim.
Yeah. So this week we have a refugee guest from my other show, Mary MacRory, who is an author and a life and business coach. You did tell me off for not putting the word business in your bio.
Yeah,
Even though it doesn't say it.
also an accountant of 40 years,
Yep.
which anybody who did the accountancy exams, you need some sort of acknowledgement.
So is that when the days of abacuses, when they were using them to work out the values of things?
Hey, Tim, I'm not that old.
Anyway, can we always start off with the boring question, like, can you describe who is Mary MacRory? And try not to take the whole half hour. Tell us every detail of your life, but tell us enough. Tell us enough about you to make it exciting.
Okay. Anglo-Irish. I like to say I've got an Anglo-Saxon brain and a Celtic spirit. Parents were Irish. Heritage is Irish, but I was brought up in England.
Yeah.
Came over to Ireland, became an accountant, not because I wanted to, but it was pragmatic. And passion is for nature and for people, really, and creative stuff. But I put that on hold so I could earn enough money to do what I wanted to do, which I'm not recommending, by the way. And then I just thought, from my own experience, I could help other people. So I did personal development courses for myself. I did NLP. I did quantum thinking. I did Reiki. And I did life coaching. And then I thought, you can't convince the whole world, especially stressed out working women, so write a book. And then I did the Oak Woodland. Very logical, really.
Mary, you've written a book because that's how you were on Tim's show, I imagine. What have you written? Tell us about that.
The book is called Women, Work and Wellness. And it's not like chitlet. You wouldn't have a few glasses of wine and read it on a Saturday night. You can dip in and out of it. It's very structured because some of the chapters are about, I hate to say this word journey because it's so cliched, but it's basically what I went through, because when I stepped back from the corporate world in 2015, I felt I had to rehabilitate myself because I was just on this treadmill for so many years. And, I was last in line after work and family and all the rest of it. So what I did was I just thought, I can, and some of the colleagues or some of the therapists that I trained with said to me, why don't you help corporate women? Because you've been there. We haven't. So that was why I wrote the book. So it's going through a whole load of, I suppose, tools, tips, techniques of digging deep. What's your values? What you really want? What's your goals? And, overwhelm, time management, all these things are trotted out in the corporate world. But, it's sort of, it's a bit like superficial, because in the corporate world, you just produce, you get profits. I'm an accountant. I know this. So I'm not being cynical. I'm just being pragmatic. So go through all that and then, come out the other side. And I wouldn't have even discussed vision boards with you about, say, 2016. I would have load of tosh. But your creative side and your subconscious actually guide you more than you know. So from that, then, the life coaching was to help other people. Wrote the book, used my husband as an example for my life coaching. Very, very resilient. 3-hour coaching session shouldn't happen. But if somebody is resistant to everything you're saying, anyway, out of that started up a construction company in 2016, which wasn't my plan, but it was good, and it helped him a lot. It dragged me back into I wouldn't say, it was a corporation. I had to set it up, etc. But there was good things about that as well. But as a result of that, I sort of postponed writing my book and I postponed my own business. And then COVID hit. But you know what? it doesn't matter what happens. You can always rebound, and you can always like rationalize it, which is what I did. And now I'm getting lots of clients, but like I wasn't getting them 6 months ago, and I've just changed my attitude completely. So that's me. It probably sounds a bit harem scarum. Maybe that's correct.
How
you-
what? Oh, I was going to ask a backup question, Tim.
Yeah,
To this,
okay.
if you don't mind. What was the core thing that changed your attitude?
A very good friend of mine. She was like best friend in school, and I'd lost contact with her, and I she left school at 16, and it wasn't a great home background, and she was basically she was supporting the family in a way, and I went to a school reunion which was absolutely poxy. Sorry, I have to watch my language because I hope that's okay, Tim, is it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Shouldn't
No. It's fine. You can say what you
Oh,
like.
but it was awful.
Within reason.
I don't think I know that word. What did you say?
It was awful. I mean, we went to a dingy pub in Middlesbrough where I had gone to school, and it was all like dark, and it was sort of like the carpet, I think, was a bit sticky. And they stopped serving at 10:30, and I was after coming all the way over from Ireland, and I rang my husband anyway, and he had been at a hurling match. Oh, and they were having a ball, I was thinking one of the people I would really love to have seen at that was this girl, Jan. So came back from that, and I just thought, right, I'm going to track her down. And she has done brilliant for herself. She put herself through her A-levels. She was working for the council in Middlesbrough. She then put herself through her degree. Now, she was getting a bit of financial support, grants, but she was well entitled. She bought a small house in Middlesbrough. Then she went on, and she moved down to the Midlands, I think, and she started lecturing. She has got a PhD. She got an MBA. She was over in the Middle East for a while, and she was in Jersey, and she was one of the privileged people. She had a 15-year contract, so that just proves how good she was, because I've worked with people, managers in Ernst & Young, who thought I'd love to stay there, and they weren't allowed. She had a contract for 15 years. She bought a place in Jersey. She then moved to Australia. Well, I think she was in Australia first, then New Zealand, and back to Australia. She's lecturing in Australia now, Queensland University, and she's done brilliant. And you know something? Her sister died. My mother would have known the family. She would have taught some of the sisters. And where I was working, I didn't think I would be allowed to go back for the funeral. And Jan was coming from Australia, just rekindled contact with her. And I wasn't able to go over to a funeral in England for, somebody who was a really good friend. I just thought, this is nonsense. I also had a very, I would say, a young guy, very conservative, starting out on his career. I had been trying to sort of scale back, but I suppose I was a bit intimidating, like I was at a different level in my life, and he basically was trying to put me down, and I just said, I can't be dealing with this. I had told him at the interview that I was going to be I didn't say to visit my friend Jan, but I had said I'm going to be away for 4 weeks. I'm going to be in Australia, New Zealand. And no problem. Yeah, I wanted a day off. And, it was all, So I just said, you know what? Done. That's what made me really evaluate what is important in life. Working for a multinational, they don't give a damn if you drop dead. So I sort of reevaluated what is important. So I was over at that funeral, and I was so glad, because it was so hard on her. And I mean, families are just, multifaceted mazes of emotions and misunderstandings. And I met her at Newcastle Airport, and we had a coffee and we spoke for 3 hours. And, you know, I was convinced I did the right thing. That's when I started on the personal development and all this NLP and all that. Because, you know, at the end of the day, you've one life. What counts?
Yeah, well, it actually comes back to the question I was going to ask, which is nicely been set up by that anecdote. But you've been at like the board level, haven't you, with companies? Is that
Oh,
right
yeah.
to say?
Finance director in GE.
Yeah. So obviously, most of us have not experienced that like board level work level. We've been up to certain levels in careers and the rest of it. But there's always this assumption when you're on the greasy pole going up that once you get to the top, it's all just boardrooms and like nice sort of dinners and the rest of it. Presumably, from what you're saying, that's actually not the case. Did you ever feel like you got to the level when you were just coasting, or was it just like it was all intense all the time? What was working at that level like, and what were the pros and what were the cons of it? Obviously,
Right.
pretty more cons.
Well, the thing is, you have to be realistic about it. You're going to get paid a lot of money. You have a sort of a status within the corporation. You're getting great experience. You know, you can, I hate to say make a difference, but you can actually. And I was in a lot of, you know, women's groups. Now, how effective they were, I don't know. I mean, within Alcoa, within GE, but you were providing mentoring. And in Alcoa, I was mentored by somebody, you know, she was the chief information officer, American lady. And, you know, you do learn. I mean, not everybody is going to be sort of the same cultural background. And I do think, well, I'm not going back to the multinational, but I do think the European multinationals are way more humane. I mean, Americans think that you have to work till you die, you know, and you don't. So how did I feel about it? I was very pragmatic. I'm getting loads of money. I'm working my ass off. Sorry, I have to watch my language here. I was working really hard. But that's the playoff. And I wanted to get to the stage, I suppose, subconsciously, where I could just pull back and grow an oak woodland and play with my dogs and cats and grow wildflowers and orchards. And that probably I don't know whether that sounds a bit dishonest, but I think your subconscious has a plan, even if your mind is saying, no, have to pay these bills, have to pay these mortgages. But the only reason I became an accountant was, as I said at the interview, was to make the money to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Tell us about your life and business coaching now. Tell us what it looks like.
Right. Now it's picked up amazingly because 6 months ago it was doing nothing. Pre-COVID, I had a few things going on. I'm talking, well, I suppose 2020 it really hit Ireland, but 2019, the end of 2019, I had a 2-week gig in Tenerife, which was right up my street, to basically give seminars and coaching to professionals who were working location independent, was the way it was put. So these people would go to these hubs all around the world, and all they needed was a laptop and good Wi-Fi and maybe office facilities. And, you know, there were web designers, there were writers, real creative stuff. And I was absolutely thrilled. But of course, when COVID hit, you know, who was location independent? I mean, everybody was locked down. So that, you know, that didn't materialize. And a couple of, you know, how would I say, senior management, female senior management had actually got permission. They had been given the okay to, you know, employ someone like me to mentor them. And that would have been good too. But then all of a sudden everybody was at home. So it didn't work. But recently I'm so glad because I was always really, I suppose, confident, and I've always worked hard, and I don't bluff. You know, I think the coaching world, I hate to say this now, it's full of bluffers. There are people doing business coaching, and the only business they've ever done is selling their own services. Whereas, you know, I have a very solid business background, and it's not to diss them, but they're giving false promises to people. You can earn 10,000 a week if you do this, this, and this. And that really turns me off. So I'm actually pragmatically helping. It's mainly in the last, I wouldn't even say 6 months, I'd say the last 3 months, there are people starting up businesses who are basically trying to change their lifestyle. And they have the expertise, but they need a bit of guidance. And those are the people that relate, I suppose, to me, because I do have solid business experience and I changed my lifestyle. I stepped back. Now, I did step back in again. I don't know whether you know that song, Finnegan's Wake. I stepped out again, I stepped in again. But I did step in again when the construction company was there. But everything happens for a reason, you know. But so that's where it's at now. I'm very excited, and I'm getting a lot of non-Irish clients, which I find interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From around the world?
Well, I don't. No, I mean in Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see, Ireland's become very multicultural. When I came to Ireland in '78, I mean, Phil Lynott, you know, Thin Lizzy, he was like the token. You know, it wasn't multicultural at all, and now it is so multicultural. And I think I don't know why this is, but I don't know whether it's because I don't stand on ceremony, and you know, but like at the moment I've got South American. I had a previous South American client, a couple. They're very happy. African, Eastern European, and I have a few Irish clients, obviously, but I just found it intriguing that maybe I don't have traditional. Maybe because I was, I suppose, born and educated in England, Irish parents. You know, you have all these different strands to the way you think. And I wouldn't be, I suppose, typical Irish in the way I think. I have no idea. But the business has gone great. And I was thinking of giving it up, actually. And going sitting in the awkward land, contemplating my navel. Now, I may still do that. But it's nice to have, you know, the stimulation and the, you know, the feedback when you're helping people. But they're mainly business clients. It's business plans. They want to set up business. What else was there? Buying property in Ireland, because I've bought and sold a few properties successfully. Whereas a lot of people got very, very greedy and got burnt. So that's where the business is at. But I'm getting loads of these diverse, different, you know, careers as well. People changing careers.
Yeah.
Well, it's a long-running joke on this show that I ask a question about. For some reason, I decided on one show to totally make up the fact that Christelle was going to start a llama farm. That is with those alpaca.
But well, I thought about llamas as well, Christelle.
So let's say that Christelle comes to you as a client and she wants to run a llama farm in San Diego or somewhere cheaper, maybe nearby to San Diego, maybe over the border in Mexico. What are the kind of questions you would ask her? What are the mind that you would be talking to her about for running her new llama farm?
Right. Right. For me, anyway, llamas, nice enough animals, and they have, you know, their hair, their coats can be, you know, it's a very sort of eco-friendly type of a business. I wouldn't like to say beasts of burden, but I mean, they're not pampered pooches. You know, they have been used to being working.
Yeah.
They're working animals. So if you were, you know, going to go, I mean, if you were into crafts, would you be interested in doing the whole thing? Now, you'd probably have to, well, unless you were very, very niche, you could possibly align yourself with other llama growers and, you know, maybe a collective or a cooperative, and do all the processing you have to do, like sheep and wool. And, you know, you could have a great niche with, well, in Ireland, there's store like lifestyle stores like Evoca, but definitely online. I mean, so I would say to you, right, talk to me about what you want to do, how big you want to go. Is it just like an interest? Is it just a craft you want to develop? Or would you actually like to, you know, go a bit higher level? And there are people I know in Ireland, and I did actually look into this because when I was doing the Oak Woodland, I was thinking right behind our house, I don't want like a, well, I'm going to be dead by the time they're 30 feet high, but, you know, I don't want a dense oak woodland. So there was a possibility of agroforestry. So you'd have, the trees would be much more widely spaced. So what animal would you have eating grass in between? Obviously sheep, cattle, no. And then I was thinking about llamas, but llamas have big long necks, so they'd probably eat the tree anyway, even if the protection is like this high, tree gone. So, but no, I think it's good, and I think that the whole thing about natural fabric. I mean, I like natural fabrics. I would be interested in wool, silk, and cotton. I just find, possibly because of my age, etc. But when I wear like polyester, it may look lovely, but I'm just uncomfortable. And so I would go for it. I would ask you though, what level you want to go into it at. And is it a craft interest, or is it a business interest, or is it both? Give me a call.
Tim, Tim has created this business for me, and I'm getting all kinds of coaching along the way about this. But what's funny, Mary, is when I was in England in September, October, something like that. And as soon as your country opened up to Americans coming over, and I met 3 alpacas. And
I think you went to a farm with your boyfriend to see them. They weren't just wandering around the street like, oh, here's an alpaca.
I think they're very nice animals.
I met some alpacas and we decided to go into business together. No, that's not what happened. They were at a campground, and they were just so friendly. We could talk to them and feed them, and that was their home. So yes, they're quite lovely animals and adorable. They had cute little haircuts, and it was so much fun. But yes, this whole llama / alpaca thing is a running business that we're trying to create here on the Oh No Show.
No, it's natural. You know, I mean, anything natural is good for you, really.
Yeah.
This polystyrene, all these like synthetic fabrics, you know, your skin isn't breathing, and it's just uncomfortable. I mean, I remember I'm not sure if my mother has impacted hugely in this regard, but I remember her saying, "Oh no, you know, I don't want that." But my mother was 44 when she had me. But so, you know, when I was young, my mother was probably going through the menopause, you know, and like, who wants to be sweating and confined? This dress cost €15 in Sao Paulo, duty free. And this is the most comfortable article of clothing I have. It's pure cotton, and it's pure comfortable. And go for it.
Go for it. You know, now that I think about it, llamas are great emotional, what do they call them? Emotional animals. Emotional support animals. Yes. You can't take them with you, but you can hang out with them in your yard.
You could try and take one on the plane with you. That would be quite funny.
This is my emotional support animal.
And he'll
Yeah,
spit
but
at
animals
anybody
are
who
great.
doesn't.
I think animals are really intuitive. I mean, they're great.
They are.
Anyway.
And that's another thing. You know, like dogs and cats. Like I can't have rabbits, obviously, because I've got this puppy I think I mentioned to you. And I'm trying to train her. She's supposed to be a collie. She is no more a collie than the man in the moon. She's about 1% collie and 99% Jack Russell, and has an attitude. She's upset the whole dynamic with the cats, but she's learning. And the cats and my existing dog have a big love-in. They're on Princess the dog's gang.
Yeah.
And they groom each other and they snuggle up, and then this yoke comes along.
Well,
So I
you
must
need
get
an
an
alpaca,
alpaca.
don't you, as well?
I do, yeah. I'm just thinking
Needs
that.
a homeless
Alpaca
person.
to sort out the other
Dude,
animals. So you sent me a link because you posted on LinkedIn that the article headline made it sound like you planted 8,000 trees. But I don't think you've done them personally, have you? This comes back to this forest that
you
you were
know,
looking.
I mean, Christ, who would plant 8,000 trees? I'm sort of trying to highlight that you can make an investment that's good. Like, you're not going to make a pile of money on it. But, I mean, I was renting out that field. You make more money, and it's tax-free, investing in a native deciduous woodland. And that's what is needed in Ireland. Not loads of, like, swathes of, you know, coniferous, acidic pine needles. Nothing grows underneath the soil. And birds and animals can't get fruits and nuts and nurture and shelter. So I just want to highlight that other people can do this too, not just individuals. Companies could lease land and do this. Local authorities could do this. Companies are getting in on the act because, you know, the carbon credits they get. Like, you know, I'll have loads of carbon credits. I'm not going to use them because I don't utilize that much or release that much carbon into the atmosphere. But you know, there's a sort of I suppose a business link, if you want to say. But I was doing it not for that, but hell, you know, if you can link it and if you can actually get more companies, local authorities, just raise the awareness, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Brilliant. Mary, where can we purchase your book and find information about your life coaching business?
On Amazon. So Amazon.com and Amazon.co.uk. I have a website, www.marymacrory.com, and I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah, and if you scan the link down, I've actually pointed in the right way, in the corner, down there, that will take you to my website, where it's got a link to her website and her Twitter.
Right.
So
it's a great tool. Tim has all of our guests on his website. If you link to his website, I believe you can still link back to any guest who's been on here and find them. So that includes Mary and all her information, life coaching.
Yeah. At the moment, it's just all I've got is the show interview and then contact details and a description of the show. So I need to work out a bit more interlinked with the whole thing. But at least you can find out if you scan the QR code, you can find out how to get to the guest website.
Tim, there's a guy, Diego Costa. Is he Argentinian? But he has done a QR code for me. And somebody said to me it didn't work, but it used to work. I don't know whether it works or not. But it's not just, it's really creative. Like, I grow organic strawberries. He's got that like highlighted. That wouldn't be something I would sort of automatically tell anybody. But that's the reason why we got the planning permission to buy the field. But he's very creative. I can send you his detail, and I'm not getting any commission, by the way. But just when I see QR codes, I can send you the link to my QR code. And I'm just saying, about your QR code. If the scanning doesn't work or whatever, you always have a link. Sorry, I sound as though I'm telling you what to do, but just in case it doesn't work, that's all.
Well,
QR codes.
I know the biggest issue, because I've been mucking around with QR codes for years, and once I did a presentation and I put up as the last slide the QR code and it didn't work. The reason why it tends not to work is that people take the little white border off the outside, and you need the white border and you need the scan. So what happens is people chop, like they get rid of the border, and you need the border.
It is the whole thing. Yeah.
And so that's probably why. It's probably not his fault. It's probably somebody's cropped it too much.
Yeah. I don't think it's his fault, but
yeah.
But that's an example of a guy. He's from South America, and I met him through a networking group virtually, and talking to him, and he's in Ireland and he wants to do stuff. So I was giving him advice. So he basically said, right, I'm doing it for you free because you've given me all this advice. So it's amazing the way, people can work together so much better. And I have found a lot of networking groups are very, very dry. And I'm sick to my back teeth of people sending me, go to this podcast, join this group, do this, do that. I already connected with them like 5 seconds ago.
Yeah.
I think there's overload. That's what I think. I think I need more oak trees in the world. That's what I think.
We need more oak tree planters. That's actually quite profound. We need to bring you back.
Anyway, that is a good note to end the show, which I think Christelle was trying to wheel to with the question about how to find out about you. So thanks for everybody who watched or is going to watch in the replay, and thanks Mary for being the guest. So
thank you, Mary. Thank you, everyone.
Everybody.
Bye, Tim.
Bye. Here's Tim. Let's look.
This is terrifying for me.
I've made more money in the last 3 years than I did in the previous 7.
Cliche shit,